Have you ever looked at someone's money choices, or let's be honest, maybe even your own, and just thought, that is completely crazy? We see it all the time, right? Brilliant people making what seem like just bizarre, irrational decisions with their finances. Okay, let's get into this, because what if I told you there's actually a hidden logic behind all of it?
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? We're taught all the rules about interest rates, diversification, saving for retirement, and yet, so often, we do things that seem to fly right in the face of all that textbook logic. We spend money we don't have, we get swept up in market hype, or maybe we're just too scared to invest at all. So why? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple, but it really changes everything.
And there it is. That's the core idea of this entire explainer. The author of our source material makes this powerful argument. What we call crazy is almost always a perfectly rational decision. We're just looking at it through the wrong lens. To really get it, we need to stop looking at spreadsheets and start looking at people's personal stories.
So this brings us to our first big idea, this concept of a financial fingerprint. The whole theory is that every single financial choice you make is filtered through a completely unique set of personal experiences. It's a lens that's unlike anyone else's on the entire planet.
You know, this idea totally reframes how we think about money decisions. It's not really about what you learned in a class. It's about what you lived through. Did you grow up during a boom? Did you see your parents worry about bills? Were you just starting your career during a huge market crash? Those experiences are way, way more powerful than any book you could ever read.
And get this, here's a number to back that up. Our own personal experiences are just this tiny, tiny sliver of what's happened in the world, right? But economists estimate that tiny sliver makes up about 80% of how we think the world works. It's this massive bias that's basically running our financial lives without us even knowing it.
And that's the direct result. Because my 80% is built on a totally different foundation than your 80%, two equally smart people can look at the very same thing, like, say, the stock market, and come to completely opposite conclusions. And the thing is, neither person is crazy. They're just working from different, deeply personal realities.
This table just illustrates the point perfectly. Imagine two people. One was born in 1950. During their teens and 20s, their formative years, the stock market, adjusted for inflation, went absolutely nowhere. For them, stocks just feel risky and unreliable. Now take someone born in 1970. In their formative years, they watched the market go up almost 10 times. For them, of course, stocks are the path to wealth. It's the same market, just different decades, leading to totally different gut feelings.
So here's the crucial point. Your appetite for financial risk has so much less to do with how smart you are or what school you went to, and almost everything to do with your personal history. What you've lived through is simply what you believe to be true.
Okay, so let's take this theory for a spin. Let's look at one of the most common examples of what people call crazy financial behavior and see if we can find the logic hiding inside.
So check out this data. Americans actually spend more on lottery tickets than on movies, music, and books combined. And the people who spend the most, by far, are those with the least amount of money. On paper, this looks like financial insanity, right? Why would you possibly spend money you need on something with such astronomical odds against you?
Well, because they aren't just buying a little piece of paper. They're buying hope. This is the big reframe. The purchase isn't a cold, calculated investment. It's an emotional one. They're literally paying for a dream.
Think about it like this. For someone who's already well off, the dream of a nice vacation or financial security, well, that's already within reach through regular saving and investing. They don't need to buy that dream in the form of a ticket. But for someone whose paycheck just barely covers the bills, that lottery ticket might be the only tangible way they can hold on to the possibility of a totally different life. So when you look at it from that perspective, is it still crazy? Or is it a pretty rational purchase for a very real emotional need?
All right, and now for the final piece of the puzzle. This is the part that explains why almost all of us feel a little bit lost sometimes. It turns out we're all playing a game that was basically invented yesterday. I mean, just think about this for a second. This whole idea that every single one of us is responsible for saving and investing for our own retirement, that's an incredibly new concept. The 401k, which is like the cornerstone of retirement in America, didn't even exist until 1978. The Roth IRA? That wasn't born until 1998. These are not ancient time-tested systems we're dealing with.
And the implication of that is just huge. It means we don't have generations of family wisdom to fall back on for any of this stuff. Our grandparents couldn't teach us how to manage a 401k. It didn't exist for them.
We are literally the first generation to be navigating this super complex world all on our own, basically from scratch.
So what do we do with all this? How should this change the way we look at our own financial choices and the choices of everybody else?
I think this is the perfect way to sum it all up. Your financial worldview, it's like a personal map of a huge city. But here's the catch. Your map was only drawn from the few streets you knew as a kid. And we're all out here trying to navigate this giant, complex city using these tiny, incomplete personal maps. Of course, we're all going to take different routes. Which brings us right back to our original question, but now with a whole new perspective. After everything we've looked at, our unique financial fingerprints, the hidden logic in crazy decisions, and how new this all is, what's the final verdict?
And that, right there, is the ultimate takeaway. We're not irrational, we're not bad at money, we're simply inexperienced. We are all pioneers in this brand new world of personal finance, and we're all just learning as we go. And maybe, just maybe, the smartest financial decision any of us can make is to have a little bit more empathy for others and for ourselves.